Nimi says she usually feels safe in her college town.
I've walked at night in Moscow and I haven't worried, but this is going to flip a lot of that upside down, and I think it's going to be the same for a lot of other students and community members.
Coming to the harsh reality that death and tragedy can make its way anywhere, even the rural town of Moscow, Idaho.
That Ethan Chapin suffered a slash to the neck. But I have to say that both of these details are in direct conflict with what the coroner had originally told us right here on this program exclusively. And also, they conflict directly with what police have said as well.
In order to figure out the root, you have to look at the fruit. The University of Idaho has not produced good fruit, and there's a reason behind it that I will examine today. From murders to assaults, there's been a lot of crime going on inside of this tiny town, and almost every single incident seems to go through these three individuals. This is what I like to call the dark trio. Similar to the Bermuda Triangle, which is a region in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean, in which ships, planes, and people have vanished, in this case, we are not in water, and the students are the targets. Latah County is listed as one of the safest and best counties to live in Idaho. That all changed when the 4 college student killings took place. People started to look into the history of the surrounding towns nearby. The crime data record of being the safest county in Idaho didn't seem to make much sense. After hearing about multiple deaths of college students, something seemed a bit off. I decided to investigate and created 3 installments on the University of Idaho's Greek life horrors. I knew that there were more to these Idaho murders. My investigation started with Latah County Coroner Kathy Mabbutt. The town knows her for working at the Gritman Medical Center in Moscow, where she served in multiple director of emergency room positions for 42 years. She attended the University of Idaho, completing her degree in political science. Then in 2001, she graduated from University of Idaho Law School, earning both of her degrees. When asked for her reasons for attaining both degrees, she stated, "I wanted to be a nurse for a long time, and law school was always a dream." In 2006, Mabbutt added coroner to her list of occupations when she won the Latah County coroner election, beating David L. Hutton by almost 1,000 votes. Juggling this busy life as a nurse, lawyer, and county coroner, hypothetically someone with these roles might exploit their access to sensitive information. This could include manipulating legal processes, tampering with evidence, or influencing medical findings. The coroner is the ultimate decision maker in ruling the cause of death of an individual, which could be a conflict of interest. One woman who looked into the underfunded system of coroners found that 2,000 officers across the country determined the cause of death of 600,000 cases per year. Some death investigators work for elected sheriffs who try to avoid controversy or owe political favors. Others own funeral homes and direct bodies to their private businesses. This goes so deep, I can make a whole other series on this topic. In this case, Kathy was appointed to be the county's coroner, but doesn't necessarily have the educational credentials for the role. The role requires a PhD, especially if you are examining bodies and influencing the cause of death of individuals. So essentially, in Idaho, it's whoever runs and gets elected that gets that position. The Idaho coroner is basically a lawyer who was appointed to be the coroner. Mabbutt stated that in her role as a coroner, she would try to determine and organize organ donations for anyone who dies outside of a hospital. And in her first 6 months into the position, she responded to 7 deaths. She was awarded the SightLife Shining Star Award for her support of donor families and her assistance in the cornea donation program. SightLife is a non-profit eye bank that obtains corneas donated by individuals. In Mabbutt's first 6 months, she assisted in the cornea donation process for those 7 individuals. She stated, "I feel very blessed to be in a position to help people." What really stuck out to me was when she stated deaths outside of the hospital. Coroners have the power and authority to determine the cause of death. As you may remember, there was a dispute between a former coroner in a different state because Coroner Kathy said the toxicology reports aren't relevant to this case.
It adds that she does not believe the toxicology report on each of the 4 University of Idaho students will be relevant to the manner or cause of death. Now, Mabbutt has been the county coroner for 16 years in Latah County.
And those 2 facts that are in conflict are that all of the victims were in their beds, according to police and the coroner. And according to the coroner, all of the injuries were stab wounds and not slash wounds. So I just want to play for you exactly what it was the coroner said in her words. Were any of them slashed? Were any of their necks cut? Or were these all puncture wounds?
Well, it was a pretty large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds. And they were definitely stabbings.
Can you tell me, when you say that they might have been sleeping, were they found in beds?
Yes.
So those were the facts that the coroner told us. And like I said, it is in direct conflict with what these 2 sources familiar with the investigation are now telling us as well. That obviously needs to be sorted out and likely best in a court of law as well.
In this scene, Kathy stated there was lots of blood in the home, and all students were likely sleeping. However, sources said that it appeared Ethan Chapin stepped partly into the hallway before suffering a slash to the neck. This made me think back to when Dylan stated that she heard a male voice say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Many people thought this was Ethan saying these words to Xana, but how would he be able to say that with a slash on his neck? I also don't think a killer would say this. It just doesn't make sense to me. This only leaves a few options of people. Someone they knew, either a friend who left the scene that was actually trying to help them, a professional, trustworthy individual, such as a police officer, or neither, and Dylan made it all up. Who could it have been? So what exactly is the role of a coroner?
When does someone call a coroner, and what is a coroner death investigator? I'm going to call it a coroner for the episode?
That's fine.
Okay. What is a coroner?
So a coroner is an elected position, but what we do is we go out when someone dies, or we're called every time someone dies that lives within our parish.
Okay, or county.
Or county. In Louisiana, it's parishes. So we're called if it's a natural case or if it's a homicide, suicide, any of the manners of death. Anytime it's an accident or just your general natural death, it comes to us.
Okay.
We have to pick up the phone and decide, is this natural causes or is there foul play? We work closely with police.
A few murders happened in Idaho, and guess who's always around? Chief James Fry.
In a developing story now, Moscow police say that they just pulled a body out of Paradise Creek over the weekend. They say the body is that of 19-year-old Hudson Lindau. He was pulled from the water around 11 a.m. Sunday morning. While police have not announced how he died, they did not suspect foul play was involved. We'll keep you updated as we learn more.
Let's look at this. University of Idaho student freezes to death after fraternity party. University of Idaho student froze to death under a bridge after leaving a fraternity party this weekend. Moscow police found the body of Joseph Witterick, 18, of Haley, Idaho, under the Paradise Creek Bridge about 4 p.m. Monday, according to Moscow Police Chief David Duke. He sought shelter under the bridge, where he likely died of hypothermia. His roommate called police upon waking up Sunday afternoon and discovering Witterick hadn't returned to his dorm room in the Theophilus Tower. Police awaiting toxicology results to determine Witterick's level of intoxication and whether any other substances may have contributed to his disorientation. Authorities do not suspect foul play and do not anticipate filing any charges.
An unforgettable day for Jerry Schutz, the day his partner, Will Hendrick, went missing.
He was pretty much the light of my life.
The two were together for 5 years, up until the night Will went missing from a party 23 years ago in Moscow, Idaho. Will was declared murdered when his skull was found 3.5 years later in the woods of eastern Latah County. His killer has yet to be brought to justice.
We should have been able to solve this, that this was not an unsolvable crime.
23 years after his murder, Moscow PD continues to receive tips and leads about Will, but tackling a cold case is never an easy task.
We always believe that there's always that one piece of evidence that will tie everything together, or somebody knows something. We believe somebody knows something.
When Mabbutt was asked what she thought about the job, when people she knows come across her coroner table, she stated, "It's hard because I've lived here for so long. I know some of the families, but that can also be comforting to them." Well, according to the University of Idaho's past commencements, Kathy graduated in 2001, but started in 1995. And guess who graduated in 1995? Julie Fry. That's Chief James Fry's wife. She is also the treasurer and court clerk of Latah County. Is it possible that they knew each other or crossed paths at some point? Like Kathy, Chief James Fry was also appointed and elected to chief police. He stated his connections with Moscow community helped him in his position. Also, James Fry graduated from the University of Idaho, similar to Kathy. President Scott Green also attended the University of Idaho. Is it a coincidence that these three obtained a vast amount of authority in that town? James Fry worked as the main detective in the murder case of Katie Benoit. Another death was a freshman, Joseph Widerick, who was found dead and his death ruled hypothermia. No foul play was suspected. Fry was also on the scene in the Hudson Lindo case, where the University of Idaho student was found dead under a bridge. His death was ruled an accidental drowning, and no foul play was suspected. Here's a photo of Hudson posing with the 1122 King Road home in the background. The incident happened just 6 months before the Idaho murders. On the other hand, in the Hannah Clay case, where she was supposedly roommates with Maddie, rumors circulated that she was allegedly bullied and moved out of her home with Maddie. She died shortly after from an alleged OD. The timing is suspicious, but when investigated, Hannah's dad came out to say there's no evidence of foul play. However, someone claimed that Hannah's roommate stated on Facebook that the OD was a cover-up and that she was actually stabbed in the torso. She claimed that no one believed her and thinks she is crazy. Is this all a coincidence? The point I'm making is, Fry gets on the crime scene and does the investigating. Julie keeps records pertaining to county courts, personal property, and personal records. Also, she's a treasurer, which means she is charged with safekeeping and investing county funds. Mabbutt determines the cause of death and assists the nonprofit iBank for organs. Scott Green was also appointed to his position in July of 2019. All were appointed to those positions. Scott succeeded Chuck Stabin after some allegations surfaced and caused controversy. Stabin had long-standing tensions with several issues, including sexual harassment and funding for football, after two female athletes made complaints of a football member harassing them and touching them inappropriately. The woman said that Coach Spear did not treat the situation seriously, in which Chuck placed Spear on a 60-day administrative leave. Also, the university's former diving coach, Jim Sutherland, was placed on leave after university officials learned he received an interim suspension from USA Diving for an alleged improper sexual relationship between him and a female diver in 2010. Spear, the athletic director, ended up being terminated and sued Stabin, claiming he ran a smear campaign against him. According to court documents, Spear alleged that Stabin retaliated against him because he had voiced concerns to several people about derogatory remarks Stabin was said to have made towards women. Spear alleged the statements made by Stabin were false and misleading. Idaho ended up settling with Spear for $94,756.57 plus attorney fees. Idaho spokesperson Jody Walker stated that the offer of judgment admits no wrongdoing. However, Stabin and Spear declined to comment on this judgment. If this happened to Spear because of retaliation, who else could this happen to? As Stabin left the seat, here came Scott Green to take his seat as student body president. He was also a fraternity member of the Kappa Sigma.
Vandal community, please help me welcome the 19th president of the University of Idaho, Scott Green.
Idaho, go, go, go.
Similar to the Bermuda Triangle, there is a triangular lock on this town and university. So many students missing, suspicious deaths that are listed as no foul play, lies, and many more. If one finds themselves in the crosshairs, there's no telling what they can do. When a group of physicians gathered in Washington State for an annual meeting, one made a startling revelation. If you ever want to know when, how, and where to kill someone, I can tell you, and you'll get away with it. No problem. I will explain more in part 3. It's Casper West here, signing out.